go into school, enact their legal rights and give that to that child in basically a different class without having to protest and feel that there is somebody out there who's aware of what these parents are concerned about.
So you're saying you want to empower people who maybe have an opinion on these lessons.
Yeah.
To be clear, what is your opinion on these lessons?
Well, me personally, I'm like a lot of parents out there who are concerned about this material. And the reason I'm concerned about it is because, you know, you have a city where you have schools that are failing children, a low achievement rate, schools that are getting low Ofsted ratings, you know, basically schools that have, you know, broken down relationships between the teacher and the management and so on. And in that environment, it can be quite a dangerous thing where, you know, if parents are not engaged with the teachers are not in control of the material they're teaching, then anything really could be taught. And that could be quite quite an explosive environment. We don't want that. We're a cohesive city. We want to keep it that way, and we want dialogue and engagement. And we want people to be aware of what their kids are being taught.
I'm not quite clear though on why it is specified sex and relationship education lessons.
Yes.
The sort of newer form of sex and relationship education lessons.
Yes.
So you can talk teaching children about same-sex relationships. What is your objection there?
Yeah, so basically what happened in the past is you've had sex education, and when I was a child, they showed us a film about childbirth. I went home, I didn't eat for 2 days. I didn't know what was going on. It was something, out of a horror movie. And that can have a traumatic effect on children. And I still remember that, and obviously I've had kids since, and I've not looked down, you'd probably faint. So to show that type of stuff to a child who might not be prepared for that can have a lot of emotional damage. Now, what's happened is traditionally people who are against their children learning about heterosexual sexual education also disagree with the extra bit of sexualization. So, people try to say, oh, it's against the LGBT community. No, it's about the extra bit of sexualization. And it's kind of sad that people want to do an us and them, because it's not an us and them, it's about having an opinion. If tomorrow, it's like having, pork. If children eat pork in school, that's okay, everybody allows that, there's nothing wrong with that. But if the teacher tomorrow goes, well, Greenpeace has said, pork meat is the most economically viable and kids should be taught about it in classes, and maybe we should put it in front of the kids and maybe they can smell it, and if they feel like eating it, they should eat it because it saves the environment, then parents might have an issue with that, and then people will be like, a bit extreme, aren't they? They're against the pigs. Well, no, it's it's how it's being promoted, this system of hate, and whoever is behind this, whichever think tank, whoever is funding this, it really needs to stop. It's not about hate, it's not about the LGBT community, it's about parental rights, and let's just keep it at that point.
But do you agree that children should be taught at, however young an age, primary school age, for example, they should be taught about relationships?
It very much depends. You see, it's very easy to say to a child, you have 2 daddies or 2 mummies or anything like that, but the child's going to ask why, and he's going to keep on asking why. And it's not even just the 2 mummies and 2 daddies situation. They're teaching them about private parts like penis and vagina and that type of stuff. And the problem is when somebody's daughter comes home and goes, Daddy, I know what's inside your trousers, or Daddy, my vagina is hurting. Well, if Parliament and parliamentarians think that that is okay, then maybe Boris Johnson should ask Theresa May how her vagina is and try to have conversations on this themselves and see how they can have dialogue and how children will have dialogue on this. Because, you imagine people in the workplace now getting RSE training and going, right, everybody use penis and vagina, let's have conversation on it. You speak to your colleague and you go, how's your penis? And he goes, my penis is fine. How's your penis? Come on. Why would you be teaching them to kids? And I know there's a lot of drug abuse in Parliament, and Jessie Phillips has said she's had drugs in the past, but I think there needs to be some mental health awareness and testing of parliamentarians and maybe people in the education system, because maybe it's just me, but it looks like it's going a bit crazy and there might be some drug abuse in the background and mental health issues.
I don't think you're the only one who thinks that Parliament's gone a bit crazy recently, but I just want to bring it back specifically to the teaching of same-sex relationships, because that is the thing that a lot of people are sort of focusing on in this argument.
Yes.
Why, to your mind, should there be any difference between teaching children about same-sex relationships as opposed to heterosexual relationships?
So how it works is, whatever sexual orientation anybody is, you would not expect your colleague whatever sexual rape, whatever he does at home at night, to come into the workplace and go, I did this sexual thing, my lover, defecated on me or whatever, yeah, and I'm into that. The sharing of whatever you do sexually has nothing to do with anybody else. And generally speaking, if I go to pick my kids up at school, nobody comes over to me and goes, are you gay? Are you lesbian? Are you bisexual? Are you transgender? What are you up to sexually? So bringing that into this awareness spectrum of children is just not needed.
You may well be right that children are inquisitive.
Yes.
And they're going to ask questions if they're being taught new information. But it's still up to parents and teachers and all adults what the reply is. So why does that necessarily mean that suddenly things are going to be getting as graphic as you're suggesting?
Well, it's not. One thing is separate. So you go for your driving test, you do your theory test first, and then you have your driving lessons. So if I said to you the theory test and the driving lessons are not connected at all, that would be a lie. So basically, you're starting from ABC at primary school. It's an introduction to the state moral, system that they want to put across. And in secondary school, they're going to further go into depth. And that's where the problem lies. It's opening up kids to situations that they should not be open to. They're innocent. They should be allowed to play with their toys and do whatever they need to do. And there's other underlying problems. You see, you wouldn't get a priest to come into school to be the school teacher on a religion, because if you said to, let's say, a Christian priest who was the teacher at the school, I don't believe in Christianity, well, he, on a 4-year-old, would say, no, you should believe in it, my son, this, and put that, child under pressure. And, there are teachers out there who have their own views, and they could put children under extreme pressure. So if a child said, yuck to something, the teacher will say, no, it's not yuck. You should be using the word penis and vagina, and it's all okay, So they and if that child goes home and the parents go, well, no, I disagree with it because my moral values are different, then the school will reprimand that child, and that's not fair on that child. He's just a child. He just wants to play with Papa the Pig. He doesn't want to know what Papa the Pig does with the other Papa the Pig.
So let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly then, because it seems like you're saying that whether it's about heterosexual or homosexual relationships, you're opposed to any teaching of relationship and sex education in schools. Is that right?
That's right. Basically, the government's always had the right there. Parents have been able to withdraw. This is, this has been happening. And at the moment, the way the head teachers, and the government said the head teachers know their communities well. And it's sad when, the head teachers put their backs against the wall and kind of go against the parents, because what generally is happening across schools in this country is you go into school and you go, oh, hi, I'd like consultation, and the teacher goes, fantastic, this is what we're teaching. And you go, well, can you soften it down or increase the material? They'll be like, no, you know what it is, it's our way or the highway, so either put your child in the other class, or why not remove your child from school? So it's not really dialogue or consultation, you're just being dictated to at the moment by the British regime.
Why is it then that people seem to be latching on so much to the fact that same-sex relationships are being taught? Because that's the part that's new, isn't it? There's always been relationship education, there's always been sex education in schools. Now, as of next year, it's going to be on the national curriculum, same-sex relationships are going to be taught in exactly the same way. So why is that being focused on?
If you look at the resources on it, so if we leave primary school alone for the moment, if you look at the resources, what you would move into secondary school with, let's say, there's stuff that could leave children in a very vulnerable situation. So you're a child at school, the teacher tells you about a whole load of sexual stuff that even your parents don't know about. That child goes enacts that stuff. Firstly, it's against the laws because you can't have sex before the age of 16. So the teachers are helping, putting something in children's minds which breaks the law. Now, if them children do go enact that, so for example, if a child decided to have anal sex with another child, well, it's quite possible that one child might get blood sepsis, because when the feces goes into the bloodstream, because obviously, that happens, a child might get very ill at home, and the parents would be unaware of what has happened to that child. Other things, if they went into, this is getting quite graphic, but if they went into anal licking, again, there's a bacterial problem that you basically get a bug that's worse than food poisoning. Now you imagine some 13-year-old child at home puking his guts out. His parents are going to be very concerned. So when you open up children to anything, if that be marijuana, if that be tobacco, they are very inquisitive and they will try it. And yes, there are kids who are more inquisitive than others, and there are kids who are less inquisitive than others. But you've got to have a balance. You can't have a model that fits all. So there will be kids who will be completely traumatized by it, and there will be kids who will straight away go and try this type of stuff. And again, you have to look at the statistics as well, because this is all about discrimination against children who are from the LGBT community, and this is basically where it's come from. 450 kids are adopted every year by LGBT parents. If you put some IVF in there, if you times that by even 10, you're talking 5,000 kids in the entire country. Even if you times that by 20, let's go 10,000 kids with LGBT parents. And then if you narrowed that down to the ones that are actually getting some sort of bullying, this is a 0 point. A child is going to get bullied because he's fat, because he's, whatever the reason is, and that's for the school to control that bullying. And if that bullying happens, call the parents in. To educate everybody and sexualize everybody is unacceptable.
Let me just ask you a very direct question then. Do you personally think it's okay for a man to be in a relationship with another man, or a woman to be in a relationship with another woman?
My viewpoint is if anybody wants to make love to another man, a woman, a tree, a telephone pole, the cameraman, whoever they wish to make love to, they can do it. It's their choice, and they can do that at home. Nobody's stopping anybody from doing whatever sexual thing they want to do. They could make love to the orange in the fridge. It does not matter to anybody, but just don't share it with everybody, because everybody doesn't know. And if the government wants everybody to go and share their sexual activities and log these down in several different genders, then I think we should start with the parliament. Maybe in parliament everybody should stand up and share every day what they did last night sexually, and where that fits in the sexual gender system. Maybe they'll create another 50 new genders.
And you'll be aware that by raising objections to these lessons, people have said they think that you're homophobic.
Yes.
Can you give me your reaction to that?
People have said I'm homophobic and Islamic extremist. I've even gone as far as saying I'm far right, a bigot. Far right, I hate my own colour, is a bit extreme. Islamic extremists, again, I've had a very colourful life in this country. I have done everything that every young British person has done.
But specifically on that accusation of homophobia, how do you react to that?
I think it's disgusting. It's very offensive. The amount of people that is, and it's actually very hurtful, telling you the truth. Just because I'm representing a community, trying to make sure the community is engaged in consultation, so we find some middle ground for these parents and the city council and the schools to work our way through these issues. To shut down debate. To say they're just a minority, they're full of hate. It is disgusting. This country was built on debate. Parliament is about debate, and debate allows everybody to get through these issues. It's very easy for everybody to come and brand somebody, whatever they want. But, let's have debate and let's get through this, as British people.
And very lastly, you said earlier on that you wanted to distribute these leaflets, you wanted to sort of start a conversation because you didn't want there to be protests like there have been in Birmingham. Yeah. Now you're talking about a protest on Monday.
Yes, unfortunately I'm not about protest, but some parents in Woollerton came to me a couple of days ago. They said, look, we've got some issues with the head teacher. They're basically saying our way or the highway. They put a lot of pressure on the parents in the school, and basically a lot of the parents have allowed their kids to engage in that education because they felt pressured by the school. It was like a peer pressure type situation, and they're not happy. And the head teacher has said to some of the parents that if you don't like it, you can withdraw your kids from the school. And I said to him, look, I'm not about protest, but ideally, if we are going to have a protest, let's keep it small, let's keep it engaged, let's make it fun, and let's do it in a nice way. And if we can put that message across. So it was good for me to kind of take a bit of a lead on that, and it's good for community leaders to control these situations, because community leaders, councillors should be engaging with these people.